I've actually known Karen for quite some time because we went to school together. But, she went on to be on TV and stage and screen and win awards. And she's like all famous. And I'm blogging, but I'm good. I'm fine with it. I'm very happy with what I do. This episode is brought to you by Universal FanCon. It's a brand new convention coming to the Baltimore Convention Center in 2018. It features comics, cosplay, anime, LARPing, gaming, and has an amazing lineup of stars. It's the first multi-fandom con dedicated to inclusion. Early bird tickets go on sale on April 27th, so check it out at universalfancon.com. Today, I'm actually going to share with you an interview I had with actress Karen Pittman. Most of you will remember her as Inspector Priscilla Ridley from the hit show Marvel's Luke Cage. Karen's had many roles. She's been in the business for a while. She had a recurring role as Lisa, Elizabeth's alcoholic sponsor on The Americans, and I say alcoholic because it was a cover. Oops, hope that wasn't a spoiler. It was a couple seasons ago. She was also Louis C.K.'s love interest on Horace and Pete. Karen's guest starred on House of Cards, Madam Secretary, Person of Interest. She had a kick-ass role on Blind Spot last season, actually. And in 2015, Karen won a Theatre World Award for her role as Jory in the Tony-nominated play Disgraced. In 2016, Karen was also cast in Custody, a Lifetime original film starring Viola Davis, who was also the show's executive producer. So coming up next, my interview with actress Karen Pittman. So Karen, hi. Thank you so much for agreeing to talk to me. And I'm really happy.
Of course.
I'm really happy that I'm getting a chance to talk to you. Now, most people listening...
Well, you're getting a chance to talk to me, but I basically had to beg you to. So let's just be real about it.
Actually...
Because I've known the Blur Girl for decades now, and I basically had to call her.
Well, you know what it is? I actually thought, you did... By the time you did Luke Cage, I'm like, she's not going to talk to me. She's big now.
Well, think of it whatever that's about. That doesn't have anything to do with me. But
so yes,
no, the Blur Girl, Black Girl Nerds. You guys know I paid very close attention to all that stuff since I did Luke Cage, and you guys are obviously all involved in the world of comics, and so I pay close attention to what you guys do, and especially you, because we're old friends.
It's simply because you've been so amazingly successful. A lot of people now know your name because of Luke Cage and how y'all broke Netflix. And they think that you're a breakout star, which I find hilarious because you've been an actress for as long as I've known you.
Yeah,
actually, when I met you, you were singing.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true. And I still sing, but no one has yet to actually pay me really good money to do it. That's true. Yeah. No, obviously, I think this is true for a lot of people. It's true for Mike Coulter. It's true for Simone Missick. It's true for all of us who kind of saw this show, Luke Cage, kind of explode off of Netflix and into the world, was that people knew us, quote unquote, but they didn't really know us. And we have been doing it for a while. Obviously, we've been grinding it out as actors, trying to find the right projects that pull our work forward and pull the story forward. But we all, I think, what's great about Luke Cage is that we all kind of found a home in the storytelling with Cheo and the group of writers that he brought together. And it was a real sort of synergistic, collaborative environment to work on here in Brooklyn, where they film Luke Cage and a lot of the other Marvel comic series. And so it's been, it was really great. But let me say that it is always nice to get some acknowledgement from the industry that people like what you're doing. I mean, it doesn't matter when it comes.
This is true. Because then it's at least you have an idea of where you are in the grander, scheme of things. Now, to that end, like you said, you've been acting for quite some time. How long have you been in the game? Let's say officially. Can you?
No, I will say obviously we went to Northwestern together, and then I went to grad school. I finished in 2007. Okay. So I will say that I've officially been an actor. I mean, finished NYU in 2007. I would say at least, for all intents and purposes, I've been getting paid to do this since 2007. So 10 years. This would be my 10-year anniversary come July or August or whatever you want to call it.
Right. But you've done a lot in those 10 years, including winning a Theater World Award for your portrayal of Jory in the Broadway play Disgraced. So congratulations first for that. And
thank you.
Tell us a little bit, we'll get into TV in a minute, but let's back up because, theater is where you were trained. So let's talk a little bit about Disgraced and what that experience was like.
Well, that's true. Theater for me is a mountaintop experience. It is the place where actors go and really hone their craft. They get to sharpen their tools against really other actors. And we get to hear the experience of the audience in the moment of revealing the story to them and whatever plot twists happen. You become a much better actor because you can't really fool an audience that's right in front of you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. There's no other takes. You don't just stop and do a take two.
No. And you have to be so focused and concentrated. You have a longer rehearsal period, obviously. The play Disgraced was a turning point for me as an actor because I really decided in that moment to hand myself over to the story. And it wasn't about me as an actor or me as a person or me and what I wanted to be on the stage. It really was about being of service to this story about basically a man who is struggling with identity as a Muslim American in New York City. And I was playing one of his colleagues at work, and I bring in a very important plot twist. And if your listeners have not read the play Disgraced or seen it, they should really make an effort to do that. It will come to HBO at some point in the future. And but it really was a turning point for me as an actor in understanding what my role is in the interpretation of every story that a writer brings to me. So yeah, theater is very important to me. It's very close to my heart. I will always go back to theater. No matter what I'm doing, I will find a way to go back because it does just help me to be a better person and a better actor.
Well, do you think that one of the challenges, without giving away the plot and everything, of playing Jory in Disgraced was the different layers of her character, because she has a couple of roles?
Right. I think, that is I've often been said, Karen, you like to play complicated women. And I'm like, well, what other kind of women are there but complicated?
That's what I was going to say. Hello. Yeah, that's
yeah, complicated women. My daughter is 7 years old. She's complicated. That's just how we come.
Yeah.
That's how we come onto the earth. And yeah, absolutely. I think that there is a great, I come from a musician background, and you want to be able to play every single note available to you or riff on those notes, if possible, in the development of a character too, as well as the development of a song or development of any sort of artistic pursuit. So I think that's really where that play excels. There are many great characters in there that have different, the nuance of what they're doing and what they're saying and the truth that writer is trying to expose through the storytelling. It's really important and exciting.
It is. And what's interesting is that I really felt those layers when I saw you play Lisa on The Americans. Because at first I was like, is this going to be another angry or put upon Black women there for other characters to lean on? But when I looked at your character, I'm like, oh, no. See, she's doing it again. She's putting another few layers in there. Lisa, I actually felt was another one of those multi-layered characters. And every scene that you were in with the main character, I was looking at you. I wasn't looking at her.
Well, that was the interesting thing, because they talk a lot about how strong the female characters are on The Americans, and that is part and parcel of I know that there are some female writers on The Americans who were very specific about it. Like, there are no wallflowers. A character of Elizabeth Jennings that Kerry Russell plays is not by any stretch of the imagination a sort of small-minded, small-mouthed woman who's over here, following behind her husband and spying for the Russian government. So none of the female characters on The Americans show women that are not fully aware of what's happening with themselves. They are making choices that they feel like are best out of very difficult situations, rock and hard place decisions, which we often have to make when we get to a certain age as women. And so I did feel like they explored that over the 3 seasons that I was on The Americans. And I really
think those
loved it. So.
I think it makes a difference when there's women in the writer's room. It really does.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But yeah, her character was awesome because she was, sort of the sponsor, the alcoholic sponsor for Carrie's character. But at the same time, she had this dynamic going on with her husband. And there's a scene where I think the scene that really got me was when you were sitting there trying to explain to her. She's like, you said the same line over and over again. He's a good man. He really is a good man. But every time you said it, it meant something different.
Yeah. Well, that's a woman in denial.
Yes, it is. And that's also it is. And it's almost like she was, by the third time, she was convincing herself.
Trying to convince herself. Right.
Yeah.
I think, but I want to go back to something you said about great to have women in the writer's room. I will say that there are some men that really do write well for women. I mean, I will say that, I work with Louis C.K. on Horace and Pete.
Yes.
The wonderful show that he did that's now on Hulu. It's on Hulu. Mm-hmm. And he wrote wonderful scenes for me on that show and for Adie Bryant and for oh God, why am I blanking? Edie Falco, and just really wonderful characters. There are writers who obviously we want to have more people of color, more women, more everything in the writers' room that really can reflect the widest possible version of every story, and not just because you sort of want that in there, but because it really does make a story better to have different viewpoints, different perspective when you're writing. But also because it's just a much more interesting collaborative effort. It just really does make it a difference.
It is. And to that end, though, Louis C.K. Is hilarious. But also, I've also noticed that comedians, and I will put Jordan Peele in this category as well, have a very unique way of, I think they can write multi-layered characters and can write characters that aren't so cookie cutter because they don't look at the world that way.
Yeah, and I also think it's how that writer has grown. People often say to me, what is the role that you want to do and what are the characters that you want to do? And I often think, it really, for me, isn't about the character or the part. It is about the story. Obviously, you want to do something original. But it is about the collaborative effort. And I often find myself falling in love with writers because that's where the word begins. That is the gospel. That creates the world. That creates so much more than just one character, but it creates relationships and all the other things that pull people into the story. So I would obviously say that Jordan Peele was wonderful at that. And Terrell McCraney and obviously director of Moonlight are excellent at creating that world and stories and people and relationships. So I think it's really important to look at all aspects of that. And but yeah, I love Jordan Peele and obviously Louis.
And I was excited to see that you were on that show too, and I was also excited to see how he cast that. It was a fun show. Okay, now jumping forward, Luke Cage. Now there were actually also obviously a lot of male writers on that. Cheo wrote those, and several other people did. And so I'm going to get what I want to know out of the way first. What was it like working with the likes of Alfred Woodard?
That's I know, right? Earlier in the year, I had done I'd done a movie. I'm so name dropping right now, but whatever.
Oh, I know what you're gonna say. I know what you're gonna say. You're gonna talk about Custody?
Yes, I did a movie with Viola Davis, and then later on in the
Yes.
year, I got cast in Luke Cage, and I found out that I'd be working with Alfred Woodard, and I was like, "Well, this black actress can go back home to Mississippi now because it can't get much better."
Right, right. And I think I flipped those around because to the rest of us, we saw Luke Cage, I think, before we saw
Oh yeah,
Custody. So in my world, you did one before the other, but you're right.
right.
You shot that one first.
No, I
Yeah,
shot
girl,
that one
you've made it. You've made it. That's why I
I
didn't
know,
see.
right?
This is why I didn't think you were going to talk to me because I'm like, she ain't going to talk to me. She's been
Yes,
on the
no, well, of course I was. But the thing was that Alfred Woodard is consummate, funny, politically inclined, opinionated, smart, intelligent, youthful, beautiful, down to earth. I mean, all the adjectives that people use to explain who she is and more.
Was she everybody's auntie on set? Was she?
No, not at all. Not at all. I mean, she was not offering, sage kitchen table wisdom. She wasn't.
She was
She was
working.
there. No, she was there to work. She was there to create this really interesting, nuanced villain that is a black woman that we all know. She don't care nothing about you, really.
Really?
Do you know what I mean? She was a politician. She was out for the quote unquote people. Do you know? I loved her portrayal of of Mariah.
I thought she was amazing.
The little known history of it was that I actually auditioned for the part of Mariah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I auditioned for it, and I knew that they were going to be looking for someone older and a little bit more seasoned as an actor. And I thought, well, I'm not going to get this part, but I obviously want to be considered for something else on this in this show. And of course, I heard that they got Alfred Woodard for it, and I was like, of course, I got Alfred Woodard. I mean, who else is there?
But I mean, it still means if you're going to lose to Alfred Woodard is not. You know what I mean?
I mean, I don't even know if I was in the running with Alfred Woodard. Let's just say that I auditioned for the part. I didn't get it. But I did end up doing the other part, obviously.
Priscilla. Yeah.
Yeah. And one of my favorite, there's been a lot of talk about the scene where myself and Simone Missick and Alfred Woodard and Cassandra Freeman were in, Inspector Ridley's office.
Yes, girl. Yes. That is my scene.
About police brutality. But one of the other really wonderful scenes, and I think that they probably trimmed it down a little bit. Yeah, they did trim it down a lot, was the scene where Mariah is in the interrogation room. And Misty has one of her first Misty visions, right?
Yeah.
And that scene was to watch Alfred do that over and over again, the respect that people had on the set for her, that the crew had when she was trying to conjure this woman that LaTanya Richardson had played earlier in the season. She was trying to conjure Mama Mabel and bring that into the room, bring it onto set. And it was absolutely mesmerizing. I mean, I learned so much just from watching her work that day. And she did that over and over and over again, different every time. I mean, she just really is such a gifted actor, and just really, I can't say enough about her. It was wonderful. Wonderful.
That's awesome to be in the presence of someone who actually does have that. But now let's go back to the scenes that you were in, because you had some great scenes with Simone Missick, who I'm also a big fan of. Maybe since you've talked to me, maybe she'll talk to me now. I'm such a fan. I'm such a fangirl.
Why wouldn't you? You're great.
Thank you. Okay. Now, for those of you listening who don't know, my day job is sort of doing editing and graphics for commercials and promos. So I'm often tasked with telling a short story with a bunch of people in it. And you would be surprised, maybe you wouldn't be, how many times I'm told not to have too many people of a certain race or ethnicity, like all together in one scene, because, oh, no, then that's going to seem like we're doing a target market spot or a target market ad or whatever.
Sure. Yeah,
So even in your casting, I have been in situations where I have seen them where we can't put that black woman and that black woman together because they look too much alike, because I can't tell us apart. What I think was amazing was that scene, and this is why the scene in the hallway with you and Simone, and basically the scene is you are obviously inspector and you're overall everything in that situation, but Alfred Woodard is there with Mariah is arguing her point. The mother of a child that has been harmed in police custody is there, as well as Misty. So everybody has a different point of view, and it's an example of intersectionality within the black female community. And it was like so mind-blowing to me because we never see it.
Right. I mean, I think Alfred was the one who brought that up in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a picture on Simone's social media that was after the day after, or the moments after we shot that scene,
Mm-hmm.
because Alfred said, look, I want a copy of this because I know that this, you know how often this happens? Never.
Right.
So we took a picture, and of course, you know, we have standby actors who represent us when we are not working, and they stand in place for us.
Yeah.
And those girls were there, and there were brown women all over the cast that day, because Alfred had her stand in, I had my stand in. You know, it was just it was as if it were a Terry McMillan book novel or something. It was if Ta-Nehisi Coates had written this for fictional story. I mean, it was kind of an amazing moment. I didn't recognize in the moment what it was because I was just working.
Right.
But she did, and I'm thrilled that people have noticed it in social media and otherwise, of how amazing it actually is to see a show reflect the humanity of African Americans, but also to see African American women so strongly portrayed on a TV show.
Yeah. And one more question about that scene. Was it all scripted or was that ad-libbed?
Actually, no, scripted.
It was scripted. Okay. And
beautifully scripted.
It was beautifully scripted. And your scenes most of your scenes that you did, were you allowed to ad-lib a little bit? Or were you...
we pushed them.
Cheo was like, great, continuity, awesome. Like
Cheo was like, no, we're not going to say that. As actors, when you go on set, you collaborate with a writer and with directors, because you don't want from episode to episode to quote unquote break your character's spine. So you don't want to have to recreate a character every time you come onto the episode. You want to keep the continuity going, not just for yourself, but for the episode that comes after that, and the episode that comes after that, and the episode that comes after that. And so there's some improv that goes on. I mean, certainly the line where Simone says something about, you just gonna let her ski wee on out of here. That was an improv line,
which was hilarious.
Yeah, it is. Which for the writers, as the writers were developing later episodes, felt bold enough to bring up. Actually, no, Mariah is Mariah and Inspector Ridley are deltas. In fact,
I was going to say the deltas; they're not AKAs. And again, that's a like a Black college experience moment, which I thought was absolutely hilarious. Now, I know you know something about this universe of, everybody making comic books into movies, into TV shows, things like that. Were you ready for the fandom? Were you ready for the...
I wasn't, because to be perfectly honest, when I encountered Luke Cage and the opportunity to work on the show, I didn't know much about it. So I went to my son and I said, do you know who Luke Cage is? He's like, Mom, are you going to get a job on Luke Cage?
Oh, that's awesome.
I was like, I might. Do I get some mommy award points for that shit? Because if I do, yes, I am. And I might meet Luke Cage. He's like, Mom, that'd be so cool. Oh my God. I was like, okay, great. I'm taking the job. Let's go. Let's do it. I
love how the kids have a decision in this. This is awesome.
It's great. I mean, he didn't really. I mean, I know. I needed the money. But to be honest. But But the truth of the matter was that, yeah, no, I did not. I think the Marvel universe, cinematic universe, is something unlike I was ever expecting to encounter. And I find that comic book fans are the most inspiring with their humor, with their wit, with their take on what's going on. It was the hardest part was not to be able to let out to my friends like you.
Yeah, what you were doing.
That I was going to be on a significant part of it because it was all over but of course, I didn't want to get fired by Marvel and never work.
Yeah, no, I heard about
another Marvel.
I heard about the Marvel snipers. Yeah, they're very serious. And no, I had no idea. When I sat down and watched New Kid, it's so funny because I'm literally screaming my head off when you walked on the screen. Oh, wait, oh my God, that's Karen. Oh my
God. I know, to a Nina Simone song, no less. Like, okay, Ali Shaheed Muhammad. Okay, you okay? I got you, Raphael Sadiq.
Yes,
okay.
Exactly. And it was there was so many moments in that show that I was like, oh my God, this is awesome. But then and a lot of people. It's interesting because a lot of people had a lot of different things to say. And here's one thing that I will say that's about, I've always been a geek, but the comics, the conversations we're having around comics and comic books and these movies now versus when I was a kid is sort of like they're making these for adults and they're having adult conversations and they're having commentary on politics and on social justice and things like that. So I think that's why it's so funny because I talk to people, this has happened my whole life. Like, oh, wow, you're really into comics? Like, I thought that was for kids. I'm like, have you ever been to a comic book convention? Because it's all grown people.
All adults.
Have you ever been to a toy fair? Because it's all adults. Like, it's a business at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And I just think it's interesting. Now, there's a lot of people that were on both sides of the fence after Luke Cage came out. Everybody watched it. Everybody thought it was amazing. Everybody I know anyway. But there was talk about respectability politics versus sticking to the roots of the character. And I remember saying several times, like, y'all, you didn't want them to stick to the roots of the character because Luke Cage originally was like born of the blaxploitation era. And that would have made y'all very, very angry. So I'm very happy that Cheo, changed his, altered it and basically made it more recent. And I'm so happy that there were so many Black female voices involved. But it's so interesting. Have you heard any of those musings about respectability politics and not wanting to use the N-word? And
well, I've read a couple of things that, I usually pay attention to what the critics say. I haven't with this because the show isn't about me. It isn't about the police. It is about the world of Harlem, and it's about Luke Cage. So there wasn't like I didn't pay attention to it, but I didn't invest and engage in a lot of the critical discussion about what the story was about. What I am pleased about is that the story is relevant today. And I think a lot of that has to do with Cheo. This is born of his experience as a Black man who really, an African American, an American person who grew up in this country and who was enthralled by Luke Cage as a young man and was able to bring this story to the screen and made it a 21st century, for me, part of a 21st century phenomenon of what Marvel is about now, not about what Marvel was about 30 years ago, because we do live in a world now where racism and modern day slavery and modern day oppression looks very different than what it looked like in the 70s, the hoodie.
Yes, exactly. Even the fact that a superhero is somebody who wears a hoodie and is bulletproof. And the fact that that's a Black man is a huge thing. Like that
happened in 2015, 2016, 2007. That's a conversation for now.
Yeah.
And not for like even the 2000s. Do you know what I mean? Like it wouldn't have as much resonance then as it does now. And so I think that's part of the reason why the story of Luke Cage is pushed through in such a big way. And this is one of the first times that one of the Marvel comics has been has a worldwide audience. This is the first time they've taken it to as many countries as they've taken it. So it's very exciting. No, I don't pay attention to the hater.
Now, are we going to see you in Defenders? Are we going to see you in one of these future? Are you allowed to tell us, or is this
You
like
guys are so sneaky.
Are you going to be in Punisher? Because I mean, you're in the precinct. You're in the precinct. You're in. I mean, I know it's a precinct in Harlem, but it's New York. You get transferred.
Y'all are
like.
What I will say is that obviously I had a great time working with Cheo and all of the players and the writers and the producers and the actors. If I am asked to come back to the world of Luke Cage, I would be so pleased and happy to be a part of it. But I do not know if that's going to happen. And if it were, I couldn't tell you because then I have to kill you through the phone.
Right, exactly. Exactly. And I wouldn't be able to report to anybody else.
And you wouldn't be alive. And your mama would kill me. No, I don't, you know what? It's so exciting. I'm just excited that everybody else is excited about it.
Have you been to any comic book convention since it came out? Because it dropped.
I haven't.
It drops the same week as it dropped before New York Comic Con, so you missed that craziness.
I haven't. I have been very, very busy actually, and as you know, I'm a single mom, so I am at home with my kids most of the time. Not most of the time. That's a damn lie. I'm with the kids a lot.
But you're doing what you got to do. You hold it down.
But I work a lot, and when I'm not working, I am with them. But obviously, I have time to sit down and talk to friends about the work that I'm doing and the work they're doing, like this. But yeah, there are a couple of projects coming up that I'm working on. Again, I have nothing to say about any of the Marvel projects, but there are a couple of other projects that I can talk about, including the play at Lincoln Center that I'm doing this summer, and you guys can come see it in June. It will go from June until August, and there'll be something on my social media about it for sure.
Okay, great. Yeah, I definitely want to get the information.
I will be on the Girlfriend's Guide to Divorce.
Ooh.
Last season is upcoming, and I went to Vancouver to work with Retta, which was great fun. And I am in a movie with John Boyega that Catherine Bigelow directed.
What?
Untitled Detroit Project about the Detroit riots, and it's really it's a short little part, but it's fun. And so there are a couple of things coming up later on this year that I'm excited about, and hopefully more that I can keep talking about.
Yeah, and definitely put it out on social media. Obviously, hit me up because I will definitely yell and scream about it. And is there any other things right now that are, because it sounds like you're in between a couple projects. What is inspiring you right now, or what's your focus on right now?
Well, like a lot of people, I'm interested in what's going on politically. Like right at this very moment, they're voting for the to repeal the Affordable Care Act. And like many Americans right now, I'm thinking about what that's going to mean for my fellow community members here in New York. We're very insulated here because we have a mayor and a governor who insist on our country reflecting the best of our cultural experience and continuing that. And I feel very safe and protected in New York. And when I go to Los Angeles, obviously many of those folks feel that way.
Yeah.
But I am concerned for the other friends of mine and community members that live in Middle America and who live in the South. As you know, I'm from Mississippi and Tennessee, and I'm actually thinking a lot about that, how we can be involved in social justice, how we can be active and involved in making sure our government really does do the thing that we've sent them to Washington to do and hold them accountable. So that's a lot of work to do when you're not working. But I am one of those actors that feels like to act means to be an activist, right?
Yeah.
So much of my work that you'll see me do, and hopefully people will look into my body of work, they will see human beings or characters that I've created that reflect my own personal feelings, my own personal politics, the politic that I live by, which is love and inclusion and ingenuity and innovation and what we do as human beings and how we strive. I think that's one of the major characteristics of an African American community now in the 21st century, that we always have been strivers. We want more. We want to achieve more, not just for ourselves, but for the people that come behind us. So hopefully, I'm engaging, not when I'm working, I'm engaging that conversation. And when I'm not working, I'm actively involved with the rest of America and making sure that we stay connected to that.
And that's exactly, I think, one of the reasons why I kind of started my blog and my commentary on pop culture and what we're seeing, the images in the media and things like that. And there's been obviously a lot of talk about Oscars So White and things like that, but I keep trying to explain that Oscars So White doesn't just mean Black people. It's meaning a lot of people in a lot of different places. And we need to see a lot of different stories. And I think that a lot of these shows, that every time there is a Luke Cage or a, Get Out or something to that effect, or even a Custody, you know what I mean? We're seeing not just the depth of, you guys as professionals, as actors, but I think we are seeing some of those things come out. And, Karen, you're doing amazing, amazing work. And I'm really, really, this is really personal. I'm really, really proud of you. It's so awesome to see somebody that I remember when, you know what I mean? And now see you doing what you said you were going to do and doing it well and getting the accolades that you should have been getting all along for it. I'm just so happy to say, yay,
Thank you. On that note, I am going to go to see this weekend a Broadway play is opening, Lynn Nottage's play Sweat.
Okay.
And she is only, if you can believe this, only the third African-American female playwright to be on Broadway.
What?
I know. Only the third. The second was Denai Guerrera.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm actually going to present an award to Denai because we went to the same school. We both went to NYU. Presented an award to her in a week or two at that gala. But this Sunday, I will go to support Lynn and celebrate her and the work of these incredible actors. As her, she's a Pulitzer Prize winner, which is, it's crazy that she has not been had a Broadway opening yet, but this is her Broadway opening. And I'm so proud and happy to support her as a theater maker myself, to support her in all of her incredible body of work. So yeah, I think you're right. As these stories, as we see more of our stories actually getting a broader audience and being put in bigger places, we're going to start to see our communities open up and start to be more inclusive, which is what this is really all about.
It absolutely is. Karen, thank you so much. Can you tell everybody where to find you on the interwebs and the social media landscape?
Find me at Pittman Karen. At Pittman Karen on Twitter, at Pittman Karen on Instagram. I think I might be Karen Pittman on Facebook. But find me and tell me how you are and what you guys are thinking about. And, no haters, just love, as my son says.
There you go. But that's wonderful. And we will absolutely reach out. And I'm going to put all your information also up at the end of this so everybody can see and follow and support. Thank you so much for
this is great fun. Let's do this again.
Yes, we have to. I'd like to do it in person with alcohol, but
I know.
But it'd be awesome if we could really actually all find other actors and people to sit down and really have more of even a roundtable discussion about some of the themes and stuff that we're seeing.
We should get together with Mara Braca Kill, and we should have a conversation.
No, we actually absolutely
as
should.
As an Northwestern sort of a thing that, it's Marvel Comics and DC Comics that we sit down, we talk about, because, she and Salim are doing Black Lightning, which is
doing Black Lightning, yeah.
That'd be awesome. I mean, I am so excited to see it. And I would love to hear the process of putting together Black Lightning and talking about what Luke Cage looked like for Marvel Comics and see what they're doing with DC Comics. It would be very exciting to hear about that.
It would be, especially from Black women's point of view.
I hear it. Absolutely.
We're going to have to make this happen.
This is a great Blur Girl blog. I think we can.
Yes. We're going to have to make this happen. But thank you so much, Karen. And we will absolutely, absolutely follow you on the interwebs. Thank you so much. Don't forget to subscribe, comment below. And as always, you can find me on Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, and Facebook. Thanks, guys.